Marcus Langston had always thrived in the rarefied air of the boardroom. At 52, the CEO of Langston Enterprises commanded a logistics empire from a glass tower that pierced the skyline. His salt and pepper beard, tailored suits, and piercing blue eyes were the hallmarks of a man who dragged a failing company into dominance through sheer will. But lately the throne felt unsteady. Reports of sagging morale and productivity nagged at him, and a gut instinct whispered that his kingdom was rotting from within. Numbers told half the story. He needed the truth. The idea struck him late one night, alone in his penthouse with bourbon swirling in a crystal glass. He'd go undercover, not as a consultant or manager, but as a janitor, a shadow among the rank and file. It was reckless, even absurd, but the more he turned it over, the more it felt right. He'd see his company's heart unfiltered. The disguise demanded precision. Marcus shaved his beard, the razor scraping away a decade of identity until his jaw felt naked. He traded his Armani suits for a faded flannel shirt, worn jeans, and scuffed boots from a thrift store on the edge of town. A gray baseball cap, tugged low, hid his eyes that had stared down rivals and sealed billion-dollar deals. In front of a full-length mirror, he practiced slumping his broad shoulders, softening the authoritative stance that came naturally. A fake ID, Mark Grayson, custodial staff, completed the ruse. By Monday morning, as he shuffled through the employee entrance of his own headquarters, he was a stranger, even to himself. The first day was a rude awakening. The custodial team was a weary lot, overworked, underpaid, and invisible to the suits who strode past without a glance. Marcus pushed a mop across the gleaming lobby, his hands unaccustomed to the splintered handle's bite. His co-workers muttered about broken vacuums and payroll delays, their voices heavy with resignation. He nodded along, head down, but inside a slow ember of anger glowed. These were the gears that kept his machine running, and they were grinding down. The real revelations unfolded as he moved beyond the lobby, assigned to empty trash bins across the sprawling office floors. He became a phantom, drifting unnoticed through cubicles and corridors, ears open to the company's pulse. What he saw twisted his stomach into knots. On the fifth floor, the sales team buzzed under Darren Holt, the regional director Marcus had once pegged as a star. Darren sprawled at his desk, feet propped on unopened reports, barking orders at his staff. When Emily Chen, a young sales rep with a nervous smile, approached with a draft pitch, he barely glanced up. "Figure it out yourself," he snapped. "I'm not here to hold your hand." Emily shrank back, cheeks flushed, while Darren smirked and scrolled his phone. Marcus clenched the trash can's edge, his knuckles white, fighting the urge to storm over and fire the man then and there. This wasn't the leader he'd trusted. In the warehouse, the betrayal cut deeper. Hauling bins of shredded paper under flickering lights, Marcus watched Tony Rivera, the operations supervisor, slip company supplies, ink cartridges, paper reams, into his truck. Tony grinned at his crew, boasting, "Sold this batch online last week." Easy beer money. Laughter echoed off the concrete walls. Marcus's chest tightened. He'd handpicked Tony, mentored him, believed in him. Now every chuckle felt like a slap, a mockery of the loyalty Marcus had invested. The worst came on the 10th floor late one evening. Sweeping the HR department's carpeted hall, Marcus caught a hushed phone call through a cracked door. Karen Phelps, the head of HR, leaned back in her chair, voice low. "Yeah, we buried it. Told her it's he said, she said. She's too scared to push. Needs the job." Marcus froze, the broom handle slick with sweat. He knew the case. A junior employee's harassment complaint against a manager, a file he'd seen weeks ago. He'd trusted Karen to uphold justice. Instead, she'd shielded the guilty, leaving the victim to suffer. The betrayal seared him, hotter than the rest. Each night, Marcus trudged back to his penthouse, peeling off the flannel and cap like a second skin. He sat in the dark, replaying the day's scenes. Darren's sneer, Tony's theft, Karen's callousness. The bourbon couldn't numb the ache. These were his people, the lifeblood of an empire he'd built with years of sacrifice. Nights away from his daughter Claire, weekends lost to strategy sessions. He'd poured his soul into Langston Enterprises. And this was their thanks? Laziness, dishonesty, cruelty. Yet glimmers of hope pierced the gloom. Javier Ortiz, a wiry delivery driver, worked double shifts with a quiet smile, supporting his sick mother. Emily stayed late, refining pitches despite Darren's disdain. Lila Monroe, a fellow janitor, shared her sandwich when she saw Mark had none, her kindness unguarded. They were the company's true backbone, and Marcus vowed to protect them. After 2 weeks, the weight of his discoveries crushed him. He couldn't stay silent. The annual all-staff meeting loomed, a rare gathering of every employee in the grand auditorium. It was his stage for a reckoning. He slipped in late, dressed as Mark Grayson, cap shadowing his face. Darren strutted on stage, delivering a smug speech about team effort that dripped with self-praise. Karen sat primly in the front row. Tony slouched near the exit, texting. Marcus edged through the crowd, murmurs trailing him. Amusement, confusion. Darren squinted down, irritated. "Hey, janitor, wrong time for trash. Sit." Marcus stopped at the stage's base, heart hammering. He yanked off the cap, letting it thud to the floor, and straightened, his commanding presence snapping back. Blue eyes locked on Darren. The room went still. "I've been watching," Marcus said, voice slicing the silence. "For 2 weeks, I was Mark Grayson, janitor. I swept your floors, heard your lies. I saw the truth." Gasps rippled. Darren's jaw slackened. "You're lazy," Marcus said, stepping onto the stage. "You bully your team, steal their wins. You're fired." Darren stammered, but Marcus waved security forward. "Escort him out." He scanned the crowd, finding Tony. "Rivera, you stole from us. Ink, paper, my trust. You're done." Tony's phone clattered as guards approached. Karen shrank as Marcus turned to her. "You buried a harassment case to save a creep. I don't know you anymore. Clear your office." The auditorium buzzed, shock swelling. Marcus raised a hand. "But some of you gave me hope. Javier Ortiz, your grit's unmatched. Warehouse lead now." Javier blinked, stunned, as applause broke out. "Emily Chen, your sales director. Your talent's wasted on Darren." Emily's eyes welled up. "Lila Monroe, for your kindness. A raise and a week off? Paid." Lila smiled through tears. Marcus faced the sea of faces. "This company's my life. I've given everything, time, family, to build it. I thought I knew you. I didn't. But we'll fix this together." He stepped down, swarmed by apologies and gratitude.